This is Jonathan Ferguson, the Keeper of Firearms and Artillery at the Royal Armouries Museum in the UK, which houses a collection of thousands of iconic weapons from throughout history. And I'm your host, Dave Jewett. Join us as we explore some of the weaponry, gadgets, and customization options found within the arsenal of Delta Force.
The chamber check animation there is to gently pop the round out of the chamber and put it back in, rather than racking it into the air and catching it, which is actually more realistic.
If you enjoy this kind of content, be sure to like the video and subscribe so you don't miss out on next week's episode. You can catch the main episodes right here on YouTube, but if you head to our Patreon, you can find longer, more detailed, extended editions of these episodes. You'll also be able to get instant access to all of our previous 6 extended editions, and you'll get instant access to next week's episode featuring the weapons of Escape from Tarkov. But I just wanted to say once again, thank you for all of your support, and now I will throw it over to Jonathan.
Oh, no, don't do that. My enjoyment at seeing a carry handle AR was immediately quashed by the player character tapping a magazine on the side of his weapon. I would be surprised if that's something that Delta Force do. Now, we're in multiplayer, aren't we? So we're not necessarily Delta Force, but you will see people tap magazines onto something to seat the rounds fully to the rear so they feed properly. Probably the last place you should be tapping a magazine, especially if it happens to be made of steel, or even aluminium, considering that the weapon itself is made of that. And yeah, don't bang your mag on your weapon. We're looking at a very Delta Force-y rifle or carbine. There's a lot of recoil there. A lot of recoil for 5.56. John Wick flick. I hope that's not in the campaign, because that would definitely not be how a soldier would do it. Do you know what? I'm just happy to see the carry handle rifle in the game. So they're calling this Car 15. That is the term that was used for this. It's in the Black Hawk Down book that the movie was based on. The movie being what the game was based on, the original Delta Force Black Hawk Down. And this is a sort of weird remake. Sorry, I say weird because it's a lot of years later to be remaking a game as a free-to-play, primarily multiplayer game. Like, what the hell was that wrist launcher thing I just saw?
So, to give you some context, yeah, that wrist launcher is the first bit of near future tech that you'll see pop up. It's basically like a 3-stage grenade launcher. The game is set in 2035, and to me, it's got a very weird mixture of contemporary weapons, or even weapons from the 40s and 50s, and futuristic aesthetics, technology. It's not like Battlefield 2042, where they've made near future versions of a lot of weapons. They've stuck to the original weapons, such as we're seeing here. But seeing that side by side with future tech, to me, is a little jarring.
I don't know. I feel like, why bother making a Delta Force game if you're gonna do this with it? I know they've done the campaign. That's great. Feels like trying to have your cake and eat it too. Yeah, I don't know. I think there was an opportunity here to make a Battlefield type game, but theme it heavily to like tier 1 special operations forces in the present, or like the next 10 years. Not so far out that you have magic glowing wrist grenade launchers. That's just really not plausible. I know I'm not supposed to be commenting on that. That's a very sci-fi concept. People do keep trying to mount weapons on arms. It's not happening. Stop it. Right, we've got the AUG assault rifle, which doesn't look like a real AUG to me. Somewhat like the A3. We haven't got any modern AUG variants to show or to compare, but that looks legally different to me, like across the board. Everything about that looks different to me. Like it's a sort of sci-fi-ified AUG. Or AUG, if you prefer. These assault rifles that I've heard so far are sounding... Now, it's got a suppressor on it, so it's going to sound muted, literally. Sounding a little bit weak. This nose art AUG is... I'm almost surprised that people don't put things like smiley faces and shark mouths and things on their firearms. We see some pretty crazy firearm decoration out in the real world where people are fighting each other, but I don't think I've ever seen anyone do this, which is surprising when you think about it. I don't know. I think a shark mouth nose art on the magazine well of an otherwise ordinary rifle, I think could work. But this is a bit over the top with the rivets and the paint scheme and the extra things you've stuck to it. 3 lasers are making me chuckle. And they might confuse, to paraphrase Harry Hill. They dazzle, they excite. Now, something more ordinary, and I'm going to get you back here, because that's a G3, but it's not a gold-plated highlights G3 with a carved buttstock and wooden furniture. Feast your eyes on this.
It's not
Isn't
often
it
that the version you show me is flashier than the version that I'm showing you.
Yeah, it's absolutely horrendous. I think the low point is the fact that it still has the green pistol grip.
I was about to say, if it had a wooden pistol grip, I'd actually be into this.
Yeah. Oh, and the cocking handle knob is also still green plastic. It's like they went so far and went, that'll do. So this is the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia doing what the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia does and putting some gold on stuff. The bolt group is gold. The cocking tube is gold plated. They're all just plating, obviously. The grenade launcher obturation ring is gold plated. It's pretty questionable what they've plated. And the carving, let's just say, in a collection of thousands of iconic weapons from throughout history, we have better engraving than this. But yeah, otherwise, a conventional G3, referred to in the game here as a battle rifle, pet hate of mine. Battle rifle only makes any sense set against assault rifle, which is questionably useful as a term at the best of times. Now, this G3 has black furniture, which I have seen on some variant, can't remember what. The Bundeswehr went with green, the famous green, as did Portugal, Iran, just about everyone else. But I think I've seen black on somebody's. Now this again is looking a bit too controllable to me. What do you think? Were you having to compensate for any recoil?
Yeah, I was definitely having to pull down a little bit. My character model is hench. I don't think that actually plays into
Fair
the
enough.
game. But yeah, it was definitely climbing more than, a 5.56 rifle, like the Car 15 did, for example. It is nice when a game manages to balance a rifle with a 20-round magazine versus a rifle with a 30-round magazine. That it gives you just enough punch to make the 20-rounder feel useful, and not you don't feel like you immediately just have to expand the ammunition capacity.
And we have the correct HK reload. That's why in the first person we're seeing this cocking handle sticking up, because you lock it manually into the notch. Replace the magazine. And in this case, we're doing the thumb over approach. Always a shame not to slap, I think. But I know in the Bundeswehr that you would be yelled at for doing that.
My goodness!
Saiga 12, quite a fairly plain configuration. Not a million miles away from this one, which we have. I quite like, because it has this, well, not because it has, I just quite like an AK-ish shotgun. Great big breaching muzzle on there. Makes it look quite mean and purposeful, but otherwise fairly plain. Does have the side rail, like the one in the game. Conventional top cover. Simple notch iron sight. If anything, the one in the game is a bit more sophisticated. There are lots of different flavors of Saiga out there. I noticed this one has a ribbed top cover, which I don't think they typically do. Ours is certainly the later AK-74 style smooth top cover. What about the old chestnut of shotgun range? Does this thing still have some killing power at 20, 30, 50?
First clip, you can see how far the buckshot goes, and there's nice dispersion. But anything beyond a few feet, the damage drop off is crazy.
What is it? Is that? It says full auto on the side. Looks like a serial number and then the words full auto. That's a bit bizarre. It's not full auto, is it?
Oh, so yeah, this variant is full auto.
I think there are full auto Saigas in use in Russia by security services, I think. Your typical Saiga 12 is semi, because it's a competition / whatever, or even the law enforcement versions are not likely to be automatic. And of course, this is heavily dressed. Muzzle brake, torch, some sort of laser unit, which looks very small. Whoa. What is this? This is looking very Warhammer-y. A lot of red and gold there. Double torches. And what looked like some sort of almost Purity Seal-esque decorations there. And is that a chaos symbol on the on the top cover?
You're reading into this more than I am, and I'm the Warhammer.
Oh, really?
Guy.
I didn't mean Warhammer Chaos. I meant
okay.
like Chaos Magician stuff.
So I think that there might be like doubloons on the side. I was getting sort of piratey treasure vibes from this one.
Okay. So is this meant to be piratical?
I think it's I think the skin's called Treasure Hunter or something. I might be wrong.
Oh, okay.
I'm just
so is that meant to be a compass on?
Yeah, maybe. Oh yeah, because I think the top part of it is red. So there you go. North facing compass. We sussed it out.
Now my brain can move on with its life.
This Saiga 12 is, as Jonathan puts it, festooned with nonsense. For a deeper dive into this weapon and its plethora of attachments, head over to our Patreon and check out our extended edition of this episode. For $20, you get instant access to the extended Delta Force episode, plus next week's Escape from Tarkov episode, and every previous extended edition episode too. If you simply just can't wait for next week, a $10 pledge will grant you instant access to the main Escape from Tarkov episode, plus exclusive podcasts, video clips, and access to the fantastic EXP Discord. Each patron helps directly support the work we're doing here at EXP. But whether you follow us there, watch us here on YouTube, thank you for liking the video, commenting, subscribing, all that good stuff. And now, let's get back to the video.
Okay, we've got another MCX spear. That's sounding quite nice and punchy. Very authoritative slap there. M7, so taking a leaf from Battlefield's book and assuming that this thing is definitely getting adopted as the M7, which it's on course for, but at the moment is still the XM7. Lots of visible tracer, which is triggering me slightly. Makes it feel, in a way though, does make it feel like the old games. And it's making me realise that modern shooters have toned down the constant tracer effect a bit. Like this looks like you're shooting laser bolts.
One small detail I noticed that is obvious but also quite nice. If I'm using the ACOG, the bipod will come down automatically because I'm holding the weapon level and I can use the bipod. As soon as I switch to the canted optic, obviously the game accounts for the weapon now being sideways and you lose the ability to use the bipod or rest the weapon.
Is there an animation for deploying the bipod?
No, it if you're in a position where you can use the bipod, the left hand will come down and flick it down. But it's contextual based on the cover in front of you.
I haven't seen any particularly sophisticated looking optics yet, which is interesting for the future setting. Like this ACOG would be pretty vintage by this point. Chamber check animation there was to gently pop the round out of the chamber and put it back in, rather than racking it into the air and catching it, which is actually more realistic than, because rifle ejectors and extractors are a bit too punchy to, and you kind of need 3 hands to be able to try and catch it in midair. So I actually prefer that animation. Unusual right-handed reloading. Or semi-right-handed. That reload was done with the left hand. The iron sights are sticking up too much again. I did notice on the Car 15 that even the front sight post was sticking up beyond its own protectors, which is unusual. These sights are obviously enclosed, but the rear sight sticks up. Don't think the real Chinese bullpup does that.
This is a Chinese game, although the developers are a Chinese company, so it does feature a few Chinese weapons. What is the actual real-world designation of this weapon? I'll compare it to the the in-game one?
Should be QBZ-95.
Yeah, in-game it's called the QBZ-95-1.
Yeah, no, there are -1, -2 suffixes as well. I think the -2 is Picatinny rails. The QBZ-03, which is a conventional design in the same 5.8 caliber, but back to just a conventional non-bullpup design. Part of a general trend away from bullpups.
I think I said Z. Should have said Z. Someone's going to tell me off.
You can say it again.
QBZ.
Found enemy AA!
I can never remember if it's Blazer or Blazer.
Blazer.
I think it's Blazer.
Blazer.
The R93 is one of those rifles that crops up quite a bit in popular culture and always makes me think Hitman.
I was just about to say, I'm only thinking of the pronunciation of the name because there's that scene in one of the more recent Hitman films where he's captured and the police officer's reeling off the weapons that has been seized off of him.
Blazer R93 LRS2. Very nice.
Right. I've only seen that the once, I think.
That's about the right number of times to see that film. During this customization here, I'm actually able to put a kill flash on the front of my scope, which is not something I can recall in other games.
Nope.
Because it does offer a huge advantage, and it takes away a lot of the glint that's now very common in large map multiplayer games when it comes to sniping.
And what's the downside? Just using up a slot?
The downside is it adds a contrivance to your handling and stability, so it becomes just a little more difficult to use and keep on. Gets a little wobbly, I guess. It sways a little more, but there needs to be a disadvantage for something that has such a massive advantage.
It does. I mean, by instinct, I would rather have just limited slots, and that takes up one that you could be using for something that's better for running and gunning or something. Because in reality, you put a kill flash on or you don't, and it doesn't give you any penalty that I'm aware of. Maybe in certain light conditions you would take it off, but then you could literally just take it off. So there'd be no disadvantage, and a fair bit of advantage if you don't want to be detected as easily. But yeah, no, it's good that it is in there.
I still absolutely adore sniping in big team games like this, when you can get up on a roof or a hill and just drop in a target at long range. Still feels so good no matter the game.
Yeah, it's always... I've dabbled. How is the bullet drop there? I didn't pay enough attention to how... Because I always found Battlefield a bit too exaggerated because of the physical limits of the map.
It's not too bad. It's not, I'm only a mil dot or two above the enemy, and I'm hitting people at like 280 meters. So it's fairly reasonable, especially with the sniper rifles. If I was trying to make that shot with an SMG, then that round is falling substantially more.
This is an slightly oddball. LWRC's pistol caliber carbine. I assume they make a select fire version of it. Kind of MPXy, but not. Don't know about that rail on the top. That's very strange with the lack of stops. I'd be surprised if the real thing has that. Don't have one to compare. I know it's based on a real SMG/PCC. They've obviously just tried to bring something new to the table. This is not a particularly widely known firearm. Generally, for sort of warfighting, I don't think they're very viable and not really a thing. Some of them are purpose designed, like this, purpose designed pistol caliber SMGs, but they're sort of the first string to their concept is the civilian market, semi-auto, maybe law enforcement, in some cases. So this is where you're getting a little bit of the American civilian market bleeding into your video game. This thing, SMG 45, is what it says on the tin. It has been designed as a select fire weapon. I believe there is a semi-automatic version of it. So this has been taken. I can't compare it in detail right now. I'm guessing as they've used the real name. LWRC are known for their AR pattern weapons. I'm assuming that there might be a licensing thing there because they've been able to use the company name and they're using the correct name of the weapon. 45 SMG, literally submachine gun, and 45 for 45 ACP. So it's kind of in my head, this thing's a cross between the UMP 45 and maybe the SIG MPX, the sort of modern take on the traditional submachine gun. Not a huge thing for fighting wars anymore, but sort of has its niche. Oh, okay. So I'm looking at the thumbnail, the icon for this, and underneath all the gubbins, I'm looking at the SR3, the Russian SR3 9x39, very compact assault rifle, or arguably a submachine gun. And the little icon has what looks like the SIG sliding folding stock on it, which is odd. I don't think even the SR3M, which does have a different stock, suppressor option, foregrip, and optic rail, I don't think that would fit the SIG stock. And I can't see whether the gun in the game actually does have that. There's a fixed charging handle on the right hand side as well, reciprocating. I'm not sure if that's on the SR3M, I don't recall. We only have the SR3. You can check out a Forgotten Weapons video on our SR3. We have two of them actually, if you would like more on that. But this is the more Gucci of the two Russian 9x39 compact automatic weapons. They can both be fitted with a suppressor, but the SR3M, I think, makes it easier. I think it's a QD. Don't quote me on that. I do feel like the SR3M and this take on it does get away from how very, very compact the SR3 original was. You know, very, very slim without the side rail, very compact form of folding stock, which brings out in a pleasing fashion with a ping. Cooler in its more Cold War-y, well, very tail end Cold War, I guess, or actually just a bit past that. Still feels that way.
Objective Delta. The enemy is attacking Objective Bravo. Be advised, the enemy has taken sector.
It's another Uzi. Having said that, the full-size Uzi is not super common anymore because it is a bit old hat in the real world. This is the wooden stock version, which is even less common. We have one here. Looking pretty good, although, hang on. The rear sight protectors are all angular. I think this might have fallen victim to legal difference. Yeah, it doesn't have the sheet metal cover on the top there, has these quite prominent ribs for reinforcement, and that's typical. That gives the Uzi a slightly humped appearance, which you might have noticed. And this doesn't have it. So I think some changes have been made. Yeah, and looks like the trigger guard, at least on the thumbnail icon, and in real life, is squared off. It's not the world's most faithful Uzi, let's put it that way. It looks a little bit like a blank firer or something. Weird muzzle device on the end of the barrel. Yeah, the wooden stock. So this is actually a presentation model of ours. And it has a plaque on it that I'm going to do a bit of research on. Yeah, the sling swivel stuck to the side is odd as well. It's quite different to a real Uzi. So it definitely feels like a multiplayer shooter. But maybe we can come back and review the campaign at some point, because I'm much more interested in that recreation of the Operation Gothic Serpent incident and the weapons and the kit and the look of that period. And similarity to the movie. So for me, that's the interest. An interesting mishmash of weapons, I think, would be my summary of this one.
Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, like the video, let your thoughts be known in the comment section below. Let us know other games or movies you'd like to see. And of course, subscribe. Links on how to support the Royal Armouries will be in the description below. And of course, once again, be sure to check out our Patreon and follow EXP across social media. Like the video if you enjoyed, subscribe to see more, and we will see you very soon in the next one. Bye-bye.